Finance Committee meeting for, I guess it's Monday, the 7th of February, where it was supposed to be last week, but I'd like to call the meeting to order and for roll call. Oh, Chuck is here. Good, good. We have Member Thompson is the only member not present. And I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes for December 16th of 2021 and January 5th of 2022. And we have a motion by Member Barnett and a second by Member Lehman. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes as they were presented, say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, very, and there's a one opposed. Oh, all right. Give you a second to catch your breath there. So for departmental matters, we're moving to Marshall Thomas, and she's with Animal Control. She doesn't have any items, but we always get a load of great information from her statistics, and she generally shares great insight into things that are happening at Animal Control. So welcome.
Welcome, I am smiling.
Does anybody have any questions? All right, go right ahead. Member Friedrich.
Did we have any members of the public to appear?
Oh my goodness. Do we have any members of the public? Thank you for keeping me in line.
No, we do not.
Thank you very much, Member Friedrich. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Thompson? It looks like Member Erickson. I was going to call you Member Thompson because his nameplate is in front of you.
Oh, well, how'd I get in the wrong damn seat? What's this mask? I couldn't put the damn thing
Erickson, Member Erickson.
No, I was going to say that was a great introduction for Marcel. I mean, I know at my committee, I just say speak. You know, I don't really say a whole lot of nice things about anybody, but you know, so you should feel honored that when you come before the finance committee that you are complimented on the excellent job that you do. There you go.
Thank you, I'm honored, but all the credit should go to the staff, so they work really hard on this well-oiled machine that the county should be really proud of.
Any upcoming events we need to be aware of?
No events scheduled at this time, but they could change, you know, at any minute. The things that I wanted to remark on today was the excellent cooperation and work with all the county interdepartmental agencies that helped Animal Control to get to the facility during this inclement weather. And all the animals were in great shape and had excellent care. And I just want to give accolades to all the people, and we all know who they were, who helped the facility to maintain operations, and I thank them greatly.
Well, thank you for acknowledging those individuals too, and we appreciate because we know that it wasn't just outside people. Your staff also put in some significant hours to help, as you identified, keep our animals safe and have an environment where people are able to come and visit animals and take some home with them if they choose.
And last but not least, if you're interested in adopting a puppy or a kitten, please think of Animal Control. We could really use some adoptions out there. So check out our Facebook page. There's lots of great photos on there. So thank you all for your support as well.
And I think your Facebook page is where you put your events too. Is that correct? Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much. And again, tell your staff members thank you. We go to 4B, and that's Michelle Anderson. And I don't believe Miss Anderson is here because she doesn't have any items at all to present. We had a full agenda last time, so We'll move on to 4C1A, and that is Rebecca McNeil, and we need to accept and place in file the county treasurer's monthly financial reports. May I have a motion to do that, please? I have a motion by Member Lehman and a second by Member Friedrich. And welcome, Ms. McNeil.
I printed mine off at the office, but. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. All right, I got one. All right, I'm good. All right, thank you.
Miss Julie does an excellent job, doesn't she? And my printer in my office is broken right now, so I am so grateful that she has given you guys the printed copies with color because I don't have one. So anyway, January is kind of a slow month as far as what I have to report because we're off to the beginning of a new year. But the first report you have is your ROT, sales tax revenue, income tax revenue, PPRT, etc. And so there's just not a lot of comparison information, but you got 1 month of data there, and it's still very, very, very rosy because the increase, when we look back to January of 2021, we were still, that was before the level the playing field came into effect and so forth, where our ROT started really bumping up, and then the recalculation of the formula. So if we look at our January 22 receipts compared to January 21, almost a $500,000 difference, and that's the reason why. So we're going to see this for the next couple months, and then we'll get into a period where we're actually going to have data that we can really compare and look at. But so right now, January 22, 1.5 million. But you can see there the historically, I mean, back in 2018, it was almost, we got about half of that amount. So economically, things are doing very good in these revenue categories for McLean County.
May I ask one question? And I think you were talking about, and that's at PPRT. So we should not, you would anticipate moving forward that those amounts throughout the year are going to be significantly less. Is that?
Well, what I anticipate is we're actually going to have numbers to compare to, because remember, last year they did a recalculation of the formula, but it was more in like the summer fall time. And so, right now when we look at our January 2022 number, it's based off of that recalculated formula. So that's why it's so significantly higher than January of 21. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
With that PPRT. Okay.
Because that's where most of our.
That is where most of it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And then sales tax is up a little bit. But again, that's probably the level of the playing field that's coming in there in that
Right.
number. So anyway, everything pretty much is up except for the local use is down, but everything else, even the income tax, was 256,000 compared to 205,000. So it's kind of hard to compare year to year when you are working off of changes that have occurred that are causing 21 to be higher. But you can see, as I said, the benefit, the huge benefit to McLean County government is that we are getting 1.5 million compared to 817,000 back in 2018. So these revenue sources are definitely much higher in helping our organization. So looking at budget right now, with the 2022 budget, just looking at obviously the 1 month of January calculated in there, 1,037,000, but the actual is 1,545,000. So you're about $500,000 over budget right now. So that's a good thing too. But as I said, all of this is going to it's going to level off as we get into some more numbers and we're able to actually start comparing data. It looks really rosy for the month of January. And then we look at the shared sales tax revenue, 392,000 in January compared to 327,000 a year ago. Your fund equity, 13.4 million. Property tax revenue, we obviously have not billed anything yet, 38.2 million. That'll be coming around the corner before you know it. And then the motor fuel tax, here you can see the advantage again of having the renewal fund here in McLean County, the 139,000, 116,000 that we're getting from that extra tax. So, okay.
I did see something, and that had to do with the freezing of the taxes for the Governor Pritzker on our gas tax. Are you familiar with that? And I was wondering, or is somebody, maybe somebody is more familiar than I am, but he is proposing freezing the gas taxes, which will obviously impact road improvements and budgets
Mhm.
that we have already,
Yeah.
especially.
Was it a tax that was supposed to increase? It was an increase that was supposed to occur
Oh,
in 2022 that I believe what I'd heard was that was not going to take place. And I don't know that anything is final yet, but I do just slightly
okay, so
recall
it was
that.
an additional increase, not taking
Yeah,
anything.
right. It was supposed to increase in increments.
And I don't think when.
But I have not heard anything final, and that is just based off of you generating conversation here. I believe I remember hearing it was an incremental increase that they were going to forego.
Okay,
But
and,
I don't think nothing has been finalized or reported
and
to
we
us.
don't, we're, because of the way we budget, we do not budget in hopes of getting more money. We budget on what we know we have gotten in the past. Is that correct on that piece?
Typically, we look at the prior 5 years to look at trends when calculating the budget, and so we would not budget on future anticipated revenues.
Thank you, I'm sorry, it just sparked
No,
that
that's
thought.
okay. That's okay. Okay. Any other questions on this page? The next report is your monthly investment report, and the Illinois funds rate is at almost 0.08. So that was wonderful to see because, some of the other rates are about half that. But, hopefully we're going to see some movement from the Fed here in 2022, and that will change things quite dramatically. There's just really it's so difficult right now to place things to get a rate of 0.08 when we're getting like 0.01 and 0.05. At least that is something that we can be happy about. Overall, across all funds and accounts, with the exception of the collector, 95,789,000. The next report is the Employee Benefit Fund report. And there's a couple things about this report when we start looking here at 2022, is that in 2021, in January 2021, the county received a $200,000 credit. And so when we look at this number for January of 2021 of 397,000, keep in mind, like I said, there was a $200,000 credit given to McLean County that reduced our expenses for that month. So here in 2022, we do not have that $200,000 credit. And so our expenses for the month of January were $679,370.47. The other thing that you'll notice is in column number 8, during the month of January, our stop loss policy kicked in, and we have a stop loss adjustment of 242,000. I've talked about the stop loss before. That's basically your insurance policy on your self-insured plan. Without that, you would have incurred this extra $242,000. Okay. Any questions in regards to this right now? Again, it's kind of hard when you only have 1 month of data to look at. The nursing home, we have, I've provided you with some information in regards to 2021. During December of 2021, there were, for the month of December 2021, there were a ton of accruals that go in. We talked about that a lot of those adjustments had yet to be made. There's still some adjustments that are being made, but I think that for the most part, we probably have quite a few of them in. The nursing home, the primary sources of revenue are captured up there on an item number 1, due from state of Illinois, private pay, and then the CMS Medicare. You can see that the year-to-date revenue from all of those sources is $5.8 million. Again, those are just the primary sources of revenue. There's other revenue which comes into the next number. Your year-to-date revenue total is $6,640,000. Your year-to-date expenses, $7,329,000. So your year-to-date expenses over your revenue and transfers at this point in time is $689,000. The outstanding AR balance, we started off the year at $3.4 million. We are at $3.571, so we're up by $141,000 as of year end on the AR. And I know Rhonda works on that actively and sends us adjustments and so forth. The cash, we started out the year with $1,276,000 in cash and ended the year at $463,476. The nursing home did not get a lot of the influx of cash in 2022, or excuse me, 2021, that they did in 2020 from various distributions related to the pandemic, ARPA, and so forth like that. Or back then, I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, they did not get the amount of revenue that they did get the year before, but they also were able to shift some of their expenses to the ARPA funding, and that is something that the county board approved. So cash ends at $463,476. Fund equity began at $3,827,000 and ends at $3,138,000. Again, that $689,000 is where your expenses exceed your revenue. These are not final numbers. There's still some adjustments to take place, but there's quite a bit of them that are in here. So, any questions?
It looks like Member Lehman has a question.
Sorry. When would you anticipate the final numbers coming through on the 2021? Any outstanding stuff? When?
There's still outstanding stuff. What we're doing right now, and this is our accrual accounting that we do. We're here right now in the second week of February. We are still going to, and I'm not just referring to the nursing home. I'm gonna talk countywide. We still have numerous entries that are going to take place during the month of February, during the month of March, that are going to be backed into 2021. In some cases, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars because of what we do, what we're required to do according to governmental accounting standards. For the nursing home, I don't know at this point in time. I would suspect at this point in time, knowing the nursing home, that we have already made quite a few of the adjustments, but I don't know, there could be more coming forward. We'll continue to make adjustments until basically the end of March. And then our audit will start, and at that point in time, if our auditors come across anything significant, they will suggest that we make an adjustment. And so 2021 does not become final until you get that CAFR in your hand and you accept it. So, and that's not until June. But yeah, you're welcome. But pretty much, by the end of March, we'll know where we are.
Member Friedrich.
Could you go to the benefit package
Mhm,
page?
sure.
Top right, the comparison chart, January to January, and that biggest spread, where'd that come from? Or if,
Yeah,
enlighten me.
well, January to January, I explained that in 2021 we had a $200,000 credit. So your 397,000, 274 in January of 21. Actually, we would have had expenses of 597,000, but that $200,000 credit's in there. Is that what you're referring to? Is why there's such a difference there? Yeah, it's that $200,000 credit. It was a one-time credit from Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't remember. I think it was maybe part of the negotiation of our plan back at that time. And then, was there anything that's going to happen this year? I don't, okay. But of course, this year our rates stayed the same too, right, Cassie? Yeah. So that was a one-time credit, and I probably will I'll just go ahead and add a note in there to remind us as we go through the fiscal year in 2022, and we compare those numbers, that 21 number included that 200,000. Yeah. Mhm.
Other questions? All right, seeing none, we need to vote on accepting the financial reports. All in favor of accepting the financial reports as presented, say aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Any other information you need to share with us?
No, no,
Very good. Well, thank you
Yep.
so much for your time.
thank you.
We're moving on to 4D1A, and that's Kathy Michael, our county clerk. She has requested approval of a reclassification of a deputy county clerk position. May I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion by Member Friedrich and a second by Member Lehman. And I think all the information is included. A significant amount of information is included. I think it's pages 8 through 15. And does anybody have any questions or discussion that we need to have? Okay. Yes, Member Lehman.
Yeah, I was just curious where we are on the status of getting an overall look at our wages.
So I believe you're referring to our salary study that we had approved in the November for the fiscal 2022 budget year. And we have created an RFP that will be going out shortly to all those vendors that may be interested in submitting a proposal. And we hope to have something to present in March, but if not in March, then in April, we will be presenting that for approval with that company. And it is anticipated that that project could take from 3 to 6 months to complete, depending on the materials that we can bring forward to them in preparation.
Thank you very much for the update and the appropriate language on what it's called in general. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of the reclassification of the the deputy county clerk position, say aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right. And we do have monthly reports that have been provided to us for all the work that the county clerk does. And I think you will note that we are continuing to see significant amount of work in our the deeds, the recorder of deeds, the recorder's office. So and other places too. So Ms. Michael is here, and I think she'd like to share something with us. Thank you.
Go into closed session. But no, I just wanted to add, if for backup, you'll see, as Member Chair Metzger mentioned, the increase in revenues. We can only hope that they'll continue, especially look at the recording chart of bringing in additional revenues. And just marriages alone, for example, we did that one fee increase. We didn't have to go through a whole fee study. And we've done just some very rough numbers that we will anticipate, and we can back these up if you need them down the road, $25,000 for a year. And that's just with the marriage increase. Nobody likes increases in fees, but when we do the fee study, which we were asked to postpone it until the first part of this year, we are low throughout the state of Illinois on all of our fees. So if we do see that potential to raise fees where we are incredibly low, we anticipate bringing in some more revenues as well. Can't promise, but, and again, nobody likes fee increases, but we've been very, very low for our citizens here in McLean County for many years.
And you said you're going to begin that fee study soon? Or it is
It's
complete?
in the, yes, by next month, we believe.
Oh, very good. Okay, thank you. And everybody is aware of what Ms. Michael is talking about, right? Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much for your insight. We are now going to move on to the biggest part of the agenda, 4E, Cassie Taylor, and we have 4E 1A. Oh, A through C, yeah, because they're kind of, she'd like to combine A through C, so that's request approval of an ordinance transferring monies from the county. This is kind of cleanup that we have at the end of the year, making sure that budgets are cleaned up. So we have I'm just going to read these. Request approval of ordinance transferring monies from the County General Fund 001 to the Children's Advocacy Fund 0129, the Court Security Fund 0141, and the IDPA, I guess that's
4D.
4D Fund 0156, and the Tort Judgment Fund 035 for fiscal year 2022. Then we have 4E1B, request approval of transferring monies from the Health Department 0112 to the Persons with Developmental Disabilities Fund 0110 for fiscal year 2022. And lastly, request approval of a resolution transferring monies from the Working Cash Fund 002 to the FICA Social Security Fund 0130 and the IMRF Fund 0135 for fiscal year 2022. And may I have a motion to approve these three items? We have a motion by Member Barnett and a second by Member Erickson. Thank you, Member Erickson. I don't know, why don't you share a little bit of insight, because I know these are for the fiscal year 2022. So
Correct.
a little bit of understanding here.
So these funds are reliant upon property tax, and as you know, we collect property tax. Our first installment is collected in the summertime, and so these three items will allow us to transfer in as needed to pay expenses into these lines through May prior to the distribution of the first tax cycle. So if the transfers are not needed, we wouldn't make them. But if they are needed, this allows us to be able to do so, and we work with the treasurer's office to make sure that occurs.
Okay, any questions? Very good. All in favor of approving these three items, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Those motions pass. Thank you very much. We are moving on to 4E1D, and that's request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the auditor, the treasurer, and the county clerk offices. And may I have a motion for that, please? A motion by Member Lehman and a second by Member Erickson. And if you'd like to.
Sure. So this is just end of year cleanup, as Chairman Metzger earlier mentioned. This is for fiscal year 2021. This cleanup is necessary for us to get the books in order so we can start the audit process.
All right, so we're starting our audit. Ooh, that's lovely, isn't it? Any questions? All right, all in favor of this motion, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We're moving on to E1E, and that is a Class C raffle application for the VFW. And may I have a motion for that? We have a motion by Member Friedrich and a second by Member Barnett. I think these are coming forward. I think this is one that we see annually, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a Queen of Hearts raffle, I believe.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor of approving the VFW's Class C raffle license, say aye. Opposed? All right, no opposition, therefore it passes. We now are going to move on to 4E1F, and that is request approval of a resolution amending the full-time equivalent position resolution for 2022 for the circuit clerk and circuit courts department. And may I have a motion for that, please? A motion by Member Erickson and a second by Member Barnett. And if you want to go ahead and provide some insight, Ms. Taylor?
Thank you, Chairman Metzger. I would say that this is an example of good government working together for efficiencies. This is an opportunity that the circuit clerk and the circuit court department through Will Scanlon identified to look at how new technologies and the upgrades to our Aegis system could be translated into efficiencies with staffing. And so this is a one-to-one change where the circuit court is giving up 1 FTE and the circuit clerk is taking that FTE for the functioning of the criminal justice system as a system and where the need is. And so we ask that you approve this change.
All right, any questions? As you can see, it's same class, same grade, everything. So we appreciate the efforts. All in favor of approving this change, say aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Very good, thank you. We are moving on to 4E1G, and that is approval of the nursing home holiday benefit. May I have a motion to put that on the floor? We have a motion by Member Lehman and a second by Member Friedrich. And I think there is an explanation we can find on page 43, but does anybody have any questions? Or Ms. Taylor, do you want to add anything more than what was in the memo?
I outlined in the memo the appropriate handbook and line items that explained this and hope that we can make this one-time change to the Christmas and New Year's holidays for the nursing home.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Member Barnett, and then we'll have Member Lehman second.
Thank you, Chair Metzger. I was wondering, dumping these dollars into these employees' paychecks at this time of year as opposed to when they normally would have been done, that's not going to impact any of the taxes that they have to pay. I should say they're not going to have to pay more taxes for any reason on these dollars than what they originally would have.
No, they will not.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Member Lehman?
It
was just curious if we have a process for like annual or biannual reviewing handbooks for things like this to just give it a good old swipe to make sure everything is up to date and in line.
That is an excellent suggestion and in line with administration's response to collecting all of the handbooks or alternate documents that different departments may have utilized in past years to make sure that administration has copies of all of those documents and has vetted them to ensure that they are in line with any other policies that the county board would like to have us follow.
That sounds like a large endeavor. Thank you for doing that. Look forward to hearing the fireworks when you're all done.
All right. All in favor of 4E1G, the holiday benefit for the nursing home employees, say aye. Opposed? No opposition. The motion passes. We're going to move on to 4E1H, and that is request approval of the proposed insurance program for policy year 2022. And there was information in the packet on pages 44 to 47, but I believe we've got some additional information that our counselor will provide us. So,
Yes, I'm going to defer to Chris Spanos on this effort because he has done all the work to put these together, and thank you, Chris.
oh, yes, we should. I'm looking at all the stuff we have, and I didn't take the motion, so keeping me straight on my right, may I have a motion? And we have a motion by Member Barnett and a second by Member Friedrich. Very good, thank you.
That's not part of the official record. Okay. So in your packet, you received a summary that came from Gallagher. Gallagher's been our broker for a long time. We employ them to go out and place our coverage out in the market to see what kind of bids they can put together. Those 3 bids that were in the packet came from Gallagher. One of those 3 bids, the one on the right, came from a similar entity, get to it here, CIRMA, which is a group of counties that get together and for risk management purposes. In front of you now, what I just gave to you is another group called the Illinois Counties Risk Management Trust. That did not come through Gallagher. In an attempt to get us the best possible deal that we could get, they reached out to me at one point, and we allowed them to make a bid, or a proposal, excuse me. What you'll see in their proposal is their total in the Illinois Counties Risk Management Trust. The total premium for that is $938,239. At first glimpse, it looks like a great deal because it's about, what was it, $335,000 less than the lowest proposal that we got from Gallagher. Unfortunately, it does not include a quote for the nursing home. In Gallagher's proposals, you'll see the nursing home quote is about $385,000. So the difference when you line these 2 bids up, the lowest bid from Gallagher with the ICRMT bid, the ICRMT bid is $53,682 higher than comparable coverage from Gallagher. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind. One, Gallagher has told us with some additional information. I should probably give you a little bit of background of what I don't want to take up too much time, but we gave them the information for these applications to start the process end of November, beginning of December. sometime in January, not that long ago, we started getting additional forms. So many of the departments in the county, IT, Sheriff's Department, we reach out to everybody at one time or another to get information, have been involved in putting all this together. And we're collecting information right up till the very end. And we got a separate additional application from ICRMT, this later one, that we just didn't, there just wasn't time to put all of that together for them. So they ended up taking the applications from the information that we had put together in the other applications and came up with their quote. The Gallagher bid, the one that came in your packet, may still be lower by the time we sign it, because if we sign that one, because they're still looking to get our cybersecurity. A little more information might bring that premium down. I don't have a good feel, but for how much, other than I think the number around $10,000 less. I don't know what ICRMT will be able to do with nursing home coverage. They can get it to us. They wanted a piece of information that wasn't in the other packet, excuse me. So in order to compare these things apples to apples, we'd have to wait to see what kind of quote we could get from their nursing home coverage. We could conceivably have that by Thursday for a stand-up. If you want to defer this vote until you have that information. If you feel like it's not close enough, or you want to make a decision now, then of course, obviously that's up to you. I can get more information. I hope to get that for you before Thursday, but I can't say for sure.
So
Any-
if we're able to get that information, we could have a stand-up. If not, we still have to have a stand-up. If we decide to wait and to see if we can get it, because or do we go ahead and approve what we have in case that doesn't come through? How would we work this? Because I think we would have a stand-up either way.
My recommendation would be, if you're not going to approve one of these and move it forward today, you would have a stand-up. You can have an opportunity to take home that packet that I've given to you and look at it, compare it to the prior proposals. As soon as I have updated dollar amounts, I would provide them to you, which may include the cybersecurity amount in the first proposal, and then of course the nursing home coverage in the second proposal. Then you would have more information when you came to your stand-up, and stand-up would be simply pick which one of these options you want. It wouldn't be a very complicated thing. You'd come with all the information, I would assume, that you need to pick one or the other.
Member Barnett.
Well, it sounds like any proposal that may come forward that includes nursing home coverage and the cybersecurity variants on what we have in front of us here, that those two are going to be fairly close to each other, likely in their total cost. I mean, does staff have any concerns about just moving forward with the Gallagher proposal, considering we've had them and they've been given us reliable coverage and been good partners in past years?
We've been with Gallagher for a long time, I understand. I am not aware of any complaints about service or any issues. There are little things maybe here and there that you might have, but overall, they have done a wonderful job, very responsive whenever we ask them questions. Making a change, obviously you go to somebody new. You don't have that information. One other thing that's a factor that I just haven't had the time yet to put it all together for you, and that would be that with Gallagher, we use an outside TPA for third-party administrator for our claims processing. And I believe that with the ICRMT, they need a less complicated reference there. Claims handling is included in this, but I need to drill down into the actual proposal so that I could give you, how much of a difference it might make. But it's a very astute observation, and certainly an issue when you're going to make a change. You always have to consider if you're happy with the service you have now, what's it worth to you to get service that you may not know anything about.
think Member Lehman had a question, and then we'll go to Member Friedrich. Member Lehman.
I was just going to share my thoughts on, since there are so many variables that and additional information that you could potentially get for us, I think I'd be a little bit more comfortable making a decision on Thursday. It's great to know that we've been very happy with the service that Gallagher has given us. However, depending on how things come through, at least I am in favor of maybe holding on to stand up so we have a chance to really dig in here and better understand the comparables.
I want to add one more piece of information that sometimes is relevant. The two of the agency that's bringing this forward is Mid-American here in the Bloomington Normal area. Two young men who started their own agency. I don't know, or took over one within the last so many years. They're also working through this IPMG, which is up in the Chicago area, the broker kind of on an equal level with, or similar level with Gallagher, might even be bigger. But there is a local element to this as well. So something that you might want to consider. And they have been incredibly responsive when I've asked them for things so far. So, but they're trying to get the business too. So,
Member Friedrich.
Okay. Um, do you know Gallagher puts this out as a broker? They're a broker. So they put out, how many different insurance companies would they have put this out to? Would you have an idea, Ruff?
I really don't know how many they typically work with. You got to remember too that this is it's not like putting out car insurance at home, right? Where there's 1,000 companies that do this sort of work. There aren't that many companies that do, the sheriffs, insure sheriff's departments or police departments, that sort of thing. So the pool of insurance companies is smaller, but I know they're in touch with many, or as many as there are, which brings up a great point that I'd add. One of the reasons that we went up as high as we did was because the provider that we had last year got out of the business. They're not selling this stuff anymore because it's such a tight market. And so they were probably underselling, and part of the reason probably why they're getting out. But they're gone, so that we had to go with the next higher bidder because they're not going to offer it anymore. Quite a few.
Yeah. I have a history with Gallagher. Personally, they've been our little farm corporation insurance provider. So I echo your comments there. They're great to work with. We've had some losses. They've been easy to work through the problems. And I'm not making it as a sales point. Okay, this isn't, but case in point, you get some of these people in and out of the market, and it causes staff headaches. I'm curious how many hours you spent on going through all this insurance stuff.
Maybe an hour.
No, no, on total, like
Gosh.
2 weeks.
At least.
Yeah.
Least. It's going through the application process is, I will tell you, a year ago, I thought, I can do that. I got a CPCU, for God's sake. I can do that in my sleep. And then I did it, and I thought, holy wow, it's a lot more than what I had initially anticipated. It is a lot of work, and not just for me. It goes out, like I said before, it goes out to all the departments.
Yeah.
Any department that has an automobile has to help. Some more than others. The sheriff's department does a lot. IT does a lot. So yeah, it's a daunting task.
Agree.
And
So
not so much. I would add one more point. We used to have a risk manager that did this full time during the year. And since we did away with the risk manager position, now it's come into the state's attorney's office. So it's like taking that almost a full-time job doing this and adding it to the state's attorney's office. It's a fair amount of work.
yes. So I guess, Ms. Metzger, that I'd be okay with nailing this thing down today. Just my opinion right now. But not. I'm taking a guess that when we get the nursing home side of this, it'll probably be higher. I'm guessing it'll be higher. Just guess.
Other comments? Because um, we have a motion to accept it, so we can vote on it, or we can table it until stand-up. Postpone to a specific date, which would be Thursday. So, we have one individual who would like to do that. Are we wanting to move ahead with the postponing, or do we want to go ahead and vote on this? Member Erickson.
2 days doesn't hurt us, does it? I mean, it doesn't create any prejudice or problems for us, does it?
No,
how it
I
would.
mean, it has to go to county board anyway for approval, so it's not going to delay anything. It does mean we will have stand-up. It's a pretty significant thing to have in stand-up. However, I think if the information comes, Counselor Spanos, I'm sure, would give us the same information that we need, and he may also have the additional information from Gallagher on our cybersecurity stuff. So
If it doesn't come, are we going to go ahead on Thursday? And
we will have to do it on Thursday, yes,
All right.
if it doesn't come.
This policies expire March 1st, so absent a special meeting of the board, you have to go on full board.
So I have a motion then from Member Lehman to postpone to date certain of Thursday, February 10th. Okay. All in favor? I need a second. I'm sorry. I need a second. No second. Oh, a second by Member Erickson. All in favor? Motion passes. All right. So we will have so be ready. We've got to have a stand up to approve something for the county's insurance. All right. Very good. Thank you for your time on that. Then we are now moving on to 4E1I, and that's request under section 108-43F2B sub 3 of the McLean County Board to authorize the county administrator to offer a salary above the identified section 108-43-F2B2. And that means that we would need to go into closed session necessary pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act, 5 Illinois Consolidated Statutes, I believe, 120/2C1, to discuss the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees, specific individuals to serve as individual contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of a public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on complaint lodging against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreation, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against a legal counsel of the public body to determine its validity. May I have a motion to go into closed session? We have a motion by Member Friedrich, and we have a second by Member Lehman. So we are going to go into closed session. We will need the room cleared. I couldn't come up with the right word. And no, there is